Their solution, and she too did not get back to us in time. In South End, Austin Walker, WCNC Charlotte.
And in addition, we reached out to CMPD for the incident report and for a comment. We did not hear back.
Well, tonight, the Charlotte aviation community coming together to honor the crew lost in the mid-air collision. 100 people, many of whom were flight crew, showed up to a candlelight vigil at the airport overlook. WCNC Charlotte's Julie Kay was there and joins us live from Charlotte Douglas. And Julie, what'd you hear?
Yeah, Tradisha, everyone was just heartbroken that something like this could happen at all, but it hit especially close to home as many of the people there knew this crew personally. They shared memories, many of which focused on the good times, but it was definitely a somber mood, no matter your connection.
Check tower 118.1.
For 20 years, this is the sound of Gary Clemmer's weekend.
We call ourselves aviation nerds.
He and his friends tracking the planes.
Have that 777 get ready to take off. He's going to Los Angeles.
And listening to air traffic control. But this Sunday, 100 more listened with them.
Candlelight vigil currently taking place at the Charlotte Douglas overlook.
Pilots and air crew gathered to honor the lives of the Charlotte-based crew lost to the mid-air collision in D.C.
This is not just a job we show up and get a paycheck. Because the reality is, they never boarded that flight expecting to not land.
A full crowd listening to the memories of pilots Jonathan Campos and Sam Lilly, and of the flight attendants Denasia Elder and Ian Epstein.
You know Ian, you know you can hear him from a mile away. And as we're gathered here, I want us to remember the great memories, because that's all we have.
All 67 lives lost are a tragedy, but it's stories like these and a community like this.
No matter where you are or where you're from, it still feels like it's a part of us when something happens.
That will make everyone listen.
Moment of silence.
Even in the silence.
And we also just learned one of the soldiers inside the Black Hawk was from Durham, North Carolina. The Army confirming Rebecca Lobach's death yesterday. Live at Charlotte Douglas International Airport, Julie Kay, WCNC Charlotte.
Turning out for another check of your WCNC weather impact forecast with meteorologist Chris Mulcahy. Chris, we're not exactly seeing the 70s or 80 we saw yesterday, but I mean, relatively speaking, for February.
I missed the praise from yesterday, so I'm going to live in the past for a moment.
Okay, good.
I want to talk about how great yesterday was, Ben. Well, 80 degrees. That actually is a 13-way tie for the 6th warmest temperature that we've ever had in the month of February. So that was pretty sensational, right? So that was the 17th time that we've ever had an 80-degree plus temperature since 1879 in Charlotte history. So yeah, we didn't quite make it to the 82. That's the top spot. The last time we did that was in 2018, where we actually hit that 80-degree point multiple times. Actually, 4 of those 17 happened in 2018 alone. And our Dallas camera looking absolutely sensational comparatively. We have a lot of cloud cover, but there are a few bright spots from place to place, but at least we're avoiding the rain for the time being. There's actually a little bit more sunshine up here in the foothills and up in the mountains. I've been watching a lot of the skiers that have been enjoying their time on the slopes, but some thickest clouds really from Charlotte down towards the southeast. Eventually, we're going to completely fill in the gaps, and it's going to look more like this that you can see off in the distance over here in Concord. High temperatures in the mid to the upper 50s. I think it's a general range about 55 to 58 degrees is what we're expecting across the area. And then the whole reason why we're seeing this setup is that we had these fronts that moved through yesterday. Clouds have clouded up, so we have a lot of moisture in the different levels of the atmosphere. And then we also have having a little bit of cold air damming, so everything is just built and filtering right here around the Charlotte area, keeping things a little bit cooler. But then eventually, sorry about that, we are looking at a little bit more sunshine throughout the day tomorrow, but we are starting to head into more of an active weather pattern. So here's what our futurecast is showing. This one isn't really depicting a lot of rain, but I think anyone that lives south of I-85, you could have a passing shower this evening and also heading into tomorrow. And tomorrow morning, we are looking at some decent downpours, especially north of I-40 up in the mountains. So really take the general placement of this futurecast with a grain of salt. I think think that we are going to have a few scattered showers through this evening and tonight, so don't be caught off guard if that does become a part of your forecast. And then that cloud cover is going to decrease, allowing for a sunnier afternoon tomorrow. And then we have on and off rain, on and off rain. Same thing happens for your Friday. Starts off cloudier with a slight rain chance. We see sunshine before more clouds start to move back in by the end of the day, where we could have a passing shower for your Friday evening, and then same thing into Saturday morning. So a lot of back and forth rain chances through your Sunday over the next 120 hours. So our 5-day rainfall forecast, this is only showing up to about 1/4 of an inch across the area. So not a lot of rain associated with this. I think that's going to change by the end of the weekend. Sunday, we actually have a shot at the mid-70s again. Yesterday we hit 80 degrees. I think you're going to see some sunshine clouds increase with a slight chance for rain by the end of the day. The record for this coming Sunday, February 9th, is actually 77 degrees. We did that back in 1994. The second warmest for that day, 73. So I think this is going to slide into at least the second warmest or even close to a record for that day. But I know Ben's going to love this fact. February 9th, this coming Sunday, is going to be a 6 p.m. sunset time. The next time we're going to have a sunset before 6 p.m. November 2nd, as Ben is slow clapping in the background. So leaving on a good note there. But then once that cold front passes, it's actually going to feel a little bit more winter-like. Should have ended with the sunset graphic. And then temperatures back down into the 40s. The good news is where our lows are settling out. I think Charlotte avoids any wintry mix, but I think north of I-40 could see that on Monday night and Tuesday night. But look at those highs. Back to the 40s, should be ending in the 50s to end next week.
New tonight, a WCNC Charlotte investigation found the justice system failed to protect a Charlotte mother.
Because it was preventable.
It's all I cry every day for my child. She just ain't coming back.
During his investigation, our Nate Morabito uncovered a series of decisions and delays across state lines that allowed a fugitive to walk free. And now she's charged with murder. As a warning, you are about to hear 911 calls that are difficult to listen to.
She was a good girl.
LaShonda McClendon.
Her personality brought everybody close.
Treated her phone.
She was just always there to comfort you.
Like a lifeline, a way of staying connected to her family. When she'd call, her kids would listen.
My last phone call was on Wednesday with her.
On December 13th, McClendon's calls ended forever.
This girl just actually pulled a gun out on me and pointed it in my face.
But not before she first dialed 911 to report Ebony Rahman, an acquaintance she says threatened her life. Around 7:30 that morning,
she needed to be going to jail.
Charlotte Mecklenburg police responded to her plea for help. The responding officer took Rahman into custody, but not to charge her with any crime connected to the threat. Instead, when he ran her name through the National Crime Information Center database, he noticed Rahman was wanted by the York County Sheriff's Office, connected to shoplifting and criminal conspiracy charges from June.
She had an extraditable warrant out of South Carolina, took her downtown.
He drove the fugitive to jail, but then the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office turned her away. The officer returned Rahman to the scene.
Let me use my friend beside.
Less than 3 hours after McClendon called 911,
she's bleeding.
3 more people called dispatch.
She just shot it and then drove off.
All as the 42-year-old begged for help.
Please come. Please come on. Please come on. Please come on. Please.
Yes, now. You okay?
Her mother received the call every parent dreads.
I cry every day for my child. She just ain't coming back, but I got her right here, though, in my heart, right here.
McClendon's family,
because it was preventable,
is now second-guessing every decision leading up to that moment.
Yeah, they let my mom down.
It seems like a failure.
Criminal defense attorney Tim Emery says this case is as shocking as it is sad.
It suggests that our systems are not effective and efficient at keeping us safe.
WCNC Charlotte's investigation found the lack of a single signature and the addition of one word allowed Rahman to avoid jail that morning. Turns out CMPD first served Rahman with her fugitive charges out of South Carolina in July, after they picked her up on a probation violation. That began a drawn-out process to secure a governor's warrant to bring her back to South Carolina. 90 days passed with no warrant, so prosecutors, as the law allows, dismissed the charge. Records show the York County Sheriff's Office didn't fill out the formal paperwork until late October. It then took more than a month to get the needed signatures in South Carolina before North Carolina officials could approve. Rahman, meanwhile, walked out of jail in November, still wanted, but free for the time being. That brings us back to the morning of December 13th. The Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office knew a governor's warrant was almost ready, but the agency says it could not hold Rahman because then Governor Roy Cooper hadn't signed it yet. He signed the paper 3 days later. That leads to the other issue.
I've never had a client who has been taken to the jail with an out-of-state warrant and then they just say, no, you're good to go. I've never seen that.
Mecklenburg County says the agency couldn't rearrest the woman on her outstanding fugitive charges in this instance because of the way she was labeled in NCIC after her July arrest.
It's like we really lost a best friend and a mom.
LaShunda McClendon's family is now paying the price. Their mom's voice silenced, but using theirs to make a call of their own.
I pray that the police system don't let another family down like they let us down.
The York County Sheriff's Office told us an uncommon MCSO policy, not the law, is why Mecklenburg County didn't hold Rahman while awaiting the governor's warrant. MCSO told us the agency, quote, empathizes with the family, but after a thorough review, all policies and procedures were followed. Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.
Hey, Charlotte Mecklenburg school leaders want to hear your thoughts on using artificial intelligence in the classroom. The district launching a community-wide survey today to get your thoughts on it. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards now live for us to explain how this could impact your child's education. Destiny.
CMS just launched this survey at midnight, and it's to gather public input on how AI should be implemented in schools, and that is to enhance teaching, learning, and district operations. Now, the district says the feedback will help shape its AI plan to make sure it meets the community's needs, and gets students ready for a fast-changing digital world. CMS also wants to develop AI policies that are ethical and responsible at the same time. A series of focus groups made up of students, teachers, district staff, and more will also be put together throughout the month of February to help with this initiative. And CMS is partnering with ILO Group, an education strategy and policy firm with experience implementing AI into education settings. AI is already being used in schools across the country for things like helping students understand homework assignments, tutoring, and keeping track of learning progress. In a statement, Superintendent Dr. Crystal Hill says AI is quickly becoming a larger part of our lives. We need to work together now to create a vision for how we can best utilize this emerging technology and support students and schools. Again, this survey is already live, and if you'd like to participate in it, there's a link in this story on the WCNC Charlotte News app. The district's plan is to take all of this public input and create an AI vision plan going forward, and that will be by this spring. Live at CMS headquarters, I'm Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
So still a lot of questions this morning about the potential impacts of any tariffs.
Well, joining us now to talk about it all is Bill Hawk, an associate professor of economics at the University of South Carolina. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's first just sort of break this down in layman's terms. How do these tariffs work, and why does the president believe they could be a strategy to actually help Americans?
Sure. Well, a tariff is a tax on imports coming into the country, whether they're from Canada, Mexico, China, or any other of our trading partners. And, the important thing to note about tariffs is that they don't apply to domestically produced goods. So frequently, policymakers like to try to use tariffs in order to give domestic producers an advantage against foreign imported goods.
And Professor, well, we know the tariffs on Mexico and Canada, those are on hold at least for a month. Who knows, maybe more. Those tariffs on China did go into effect overnight. Talk about what that means on the individual level, these Chinese tariffs. How is it going to affect folks' bottom line at home?
Yeah, so I think the United States imports a lot of manufactured goods and electronic goods from China, and a 10% tariff, most of that is probably going to be passed along to consumers. So, any electronic goods that you get from overseas, say, they're probably going to be a little bit more expensive maybe the next time you go to the store. So that's the type of thing that tends to affect the bottom line for consumers. It's maybe not quite as severe as maybe we were expecting yesterday when we were thinking 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico, but it's still something that, we'll probably notice a little bit in our pocketbooks.
Now, how could these tariffs with China and the proposed tariffs with Mexico and Canada impact our trade relationships here?
Yeah, so I think, that's really a big question. And as we heard, late yesterday, it looks like the tariffs with Canada and Mexico are going to be on hold for at least a month. But I really think this did a lot of damage to our trading relationships. The first Trump administration negotiated the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement to kind of update and replace NAFTA. But now we're kind of going back a few years later and saying, well, we're kind of, scrapping that agreement. It's something that's going to make it really difficult for them to trust us in future negotiations. China, the relationship's always been a little bit fraught, but, this is the type of thing that's probably going to make cooperation in a lot of areas more difficult going forward.
Professor, let me put you on the spot. Directly here, do tariffs have the intended effect President Trump is looking for?
Well, I think, in terms of a, say, negotiating tool, they may at least, seem to have worked this time, at least with Canada and Mexico. Now, are they going to boost domestic production? That's a more difficult question. I mean, a lot of the things that we import nowadays, instead of just being, finished consumer goods, are also intermediate goods and raw materials that are used in manufacturing processes here in North Carolina, South Carolina. And, having tariffs on a lot of those intermediate goods actually can hurt domestic manufacturing. So I don't think the effect is going to be, frankly, all that great in terms of stimulating domestic production.
Professor Bill Hawk, we certainly appreciate your insight on this. I'm sure it'll be a continuing conversation. We'll have to have you back on.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
A Charlotte family asking where's the money when it comes to funding for pediatric cancer. Their son was diagnosed with cancer at just 3 years old.
Yeah, and now for the second year in a row, they're getting ready to go to Washington, D.C. to fight for funding for pediatric cancer research after Congress cut much needed money for this in December. WCNC Charlotte's Michelle Bowden spoke to them exclusively about their push for this funding.
According to the National Cancer Institute, only 4% of all government-allocated cancer research funds go towards pediatric cancer research. So this local family fighting for their own son's life are fighting for every family after a major and unexpected blow from legislators.
It hits you like a ton of bricks.
Alex Miller.
Your world just kind of crumbles.
I got sick.
You just kind of freeze and you're not really sure what to do.
Luke Miller was just 3 years old when doctors told his parents he had cancer.
Megan broke down, and the first thing Luke did with the big heart that he has, he brought Megan, my wife, a Band-Aid because she thought she was hurt. So we knew from that point on, from day one, that he was going to be a fighter. He was going to be the rock through this whole thing.
So it affected his entire system. When he got the diagnosis, he was at basically a stage 4, which is pretty much the worst you can get before you get into an unrecoverable state.
You have those moments where you're going through stuff and it's like, wow, he's 3 years old. He shouldn't have to be going through this at all.
Luke went through 3 years of a grueling special treatment protocol aimed at getting rid of the cancer.
I think watching him fight for his life being so young. And so I saw that fight in him. And so we started really taking note with things and seeing that, I had a voice and he had a voice. And so I was like, if he's going to fight, why can't we fight with him?
So first she wrote a children's book based on Luke's cancer journey, Luke and the Lost Bell.
Our goal is to get these books into the hands of families and cancer patients across the country.
Then last February, the whole family went to D.C. to fight for funding for pediatric cancer research.
To talk to Congress at Capitol Hill and talk to local legislators. We're still using drugs on children that are made for adults, which is why we're seeing all of these side effects. It's because we're treating them with adult drugs. There are very few drugs that are actually made for children.
At the time, it seemed like a slam dunk with vocal bipartisan support. But then in December, with a government shutdown looming and then President-elect Trump poised to take office, legislators scrambling to get a spending package passed slashed funding for pediatric cancer. So their fight continues.
We are going back this year because, as you know, we had 6 large bills that did not get passed as a part of the recent budget cut. And so we want to see what their stance is on that for the reactivation of these.
This time they go back with a renewed sense of purpose and hope.
I beat cancer.
Luke is now cancer-free in kindergarten and about to start the basketball season.
That's it.
He's living a normal life right now.
Cancer-free.
Cancer-free.
Pediatric cancers are the leading cause of death by disease for children and young adults under the age of 20. If you'd like more information on the fight to get more funding for research, we've got all the information you need on our website, WCNC.com. Back to you.
WCNC Weather Impact, your trusted source for winter weather and beyond.
We're committed to keeping you safe, informed, and weather aware.
From frost and freezes to snow, the WCNC Weather Impact team tells you the timing and the essentials you need to know. Get the up-to-date forecast on your schedule, always streaming on WCNC Plus.
Your Weather Impact team only on WCNC Charlotte.
Stream now on WCNC Plus.
When it comes to prosecuting cases like this, the Mecklenburg County District Attorney's Office is asking, where's the money?
So it says the lack of funding and manpower at the agency is impacting our local justice system. And now city leaders are pushing for more state money.
WCNC Charlotte's Julia Kaufman joining us live from Uptown. Julia, you sat down with the district attorney today, I should say. So what is he saying about this?
Yeah, Colin, District Attorney Spencer Merriweather says the burden on his office is unbearable, saying the lack of resources is a growing problem that's impacting victims who are seeking justice.
There are inherent delays in work.
Cases are taking longer to go to trial. Mecklenburg County District Attorney Spencer Merriweather says partly due to the mountain of work assigned to each prosecutor.
Each one of the prosecutors in my office that are assigned to handle homicides themselves, in many cases, have a larger inventory of cases than whole district attorney's offices across the state.
Simply put, the manpower and resources at the DA's office are not keeping up with the county's growth.
The burden is unbearable.
The issue is catching the attention of Police Chief Johnny Jennings.
We had over 120 arrests from CMPD, and just to see how all of this accumulates over to the district attorney's office, I don't know how they're able to keep up with the resources that they have.
Mecklenburg County currently has 62 state-funded prosecutors, and the city and county are paying for an additional 23. Merriweather says they have 7 vacancies, but recruitment is a challenge.
Those are people that basically I'm asking as lawyers in one of the most expensive markets in the state and in our region to come and work in the DA's office for $60,000.
Without a competitive salary, Merriweather tries recruiting attorneys who want to make a difference in the community.
Never has anyone who's done this job had to wonder whether or not their job matters.
Merriweather noted that the state has increased the average salary for a prosecutor over the last few years, but a prosecutor in Charlotte makes the same amount as a prosecutor in a smaller town with a lower cost of living. So a bill was filed in 2023 to change that, but it didn't get anywhere. Now the Charlotte City Council is lobbying for more state money for the DA's office this year. For now, we're live in Uptown. Julia Kaufman, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, keep us posted, Julia. Thank you. Charlotte mom says she was told the murder of her son should have been an open and shut case. But then a problem at the crime lab with the physical evidence prompted a plea deal. Instead of the trial she says she was promised. WCNC Charlotte's Michelle Bowden has the exclusive details.
Malika Muhammad says the DA's office was set to take her son's murder case to trial until a problem with a crime scene evidence tech changed the course of the case.
This is definitely his graduation picture.
It was March 15, 2021, the last time she saw her son alive.
You know, gave me a hug and said, "I'll see you later, Mom."
A few hours later, a pounding at her front door.
All I hear is like, "He's dead, he's dead."
She ran to the crime scene.
I saw the police cars, police officers outside. I saw the yellow tape.
And learned her son, 22-year-old Isaiah Muhammad, had been shot and killed in a case of mistaken identity after carpooling home from work with two colleagues.
They were sitting there chilling, whatever, talking, and you just hear the pop, 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 pop.
Someone started shooting at them.
Someone started shooting.
The three men were sitting in their car at Kingsridge Drive in South Charlotte when police say a car pulled up and two men started spraying the passenger side of the car with bullets.
They saw a vehicle, thought it was a vehicle of someone who they had a previous altercation with. My son was shot over 12 times from his head to his toes.
Isaiah was pronounced dead there at the scene. One of his colleagues died at the hospital. The other managed to get out of the car and survived. Malika says the DA's office was ready to take the case to trial, telling her there were text messages with a confession and indisputable physical evidence.
And then they also had fingerprints that was on the bullet fragments. There were over 50.
But then late last year, a shocking phone call.
Right before Thanksgiving, we was called back down to the DA's office, and we were told that a situation happened in Charlotte-Mecklenburg with the person who was doing reports, tampering with evidence possibly. So any case that they were working on during that time was affected, and they could not use the fingerprints.
Instead of a trial, she was told the men charged with murdering her son would be offered plea deals. In fact, last week, Marticius Taylor pled guilty to a lesser charge of second-degree murder.
You can't get your child back, but there's some satisfaction to know that you committed the crime. You deserve to spend the rest of your life in jail, because I'm living in my own prison. Isaiah's living in his grave. You just feel empty, like the system fails you.
Does this feel like justice to you?
Not at all. Not at all.
We tried to get comment from the DA's office, but they told us they couldn't talk because another suspect in this case is still awaiting trial. Also, we have previously reported that the DA's office announced a number of cases would be impacted by the mistakes made by this crime scene tech. Reporting in Charlotte, Michelle Bowden, WCNC Charlotte.
When severe weather impacts the Carolinas, you can help us tell the story.
Our radar helps to keep you weather aware, along with images like these. Here's how to send us a video or picture of conditions impacting your area.
Make sure you're in a safe spot. Take a picture or a video, then send it to the Near Me feature on our WCNC News app.
Your image could be part of our weather impact coverage. Download the WCNC News app now.
Joining out for another check of your WCNC weather impact forecast with meteorologist Chris Mulcahy. Chris, we're not exactly seeing the 70s or 80 we saw yesterday, but I mean, relatively speaking, for February.
I missed the praise from yesterday, so I'm going to live in the past for a moment.
Okay.
I want to talk about how great yesterday was, Ben. Well, 80 degrees. That actually is a 13-way tie for the 6th warmest temperature that we've ever had in the month of February. So that was pretty sensational, right? So that was the 17th time that we've ever had an 80-degree plus temperature since 1879 in Charlotte history. So yeah, we didn't quite make it to the 82. That's the top spot. The last time we did that was in 2018, where we actually hit that 80-degree point multiple times. Actually, 4 of those 17 happened in 2018 alone. And our Dallas camera looking absolutely sensational comparatively. We have a lot of cloud cover, but there are a few bright spots from place to place, but at least we're avoiding the rain for the time being. There's actually a little bit more sunshine up here in the foothills and up in the mountains. I've been watching a lot of the skiers that have been enjoying their time on the slopes, but some thickest clouds really from Charlotte down towards the southeast. Eventually we're going to completely fill in the gaps, and it's going to look more like this that you can see off in the distance over here in Concord. High temperatures in the mid to the upper 50s. I think it's a general range of about 55 to 58 degrees is what we're expecting across the area. And then the whole reason why we're seeing this setup is that we had these fronts that moved through yesterday. Clouds have clouded up, so we have a lot of moisture in the different levels of the atmosphere. And then we also have having a little bit of cold air damming, so everything is just built and filtering right here around the Charlotte area, keeping things a little bit cooler. But then eventually, sorry about that, we are looking at a little bit more sunshine throughout the day tomorrow, but we are starting to head into more of an active weather pattern. So here's what our futurecast is showing. This one isn't really depicting a lot of rain, but I think anyone that lives south of I-85, you could have a passing shower this evening and also heading into tomorrow. And tomorrow morning, we are looking at some decent downpours, especially north of I-40 up in the mountains. So really take the general placement of this futurecast with a grain of salt. I think that we are going to have a few scattered showers through this evening and tonight, so don't be caught off guard if that does become a part of your forecast. And then that cloud cover is going to decrease, allowing for a sunnier afternoon tomorrow. And then we have on and off rain, on and off rain. Same thing happens for your Friday. Starts off cloudier with a slight rain chance. We see sunshine before more clouds start to move back in by the end of the day, where we could have a passing shower for your Friday evening, and then same thing into Saturday morning. So a lot of back and forth rain chances through your Sunday over the next 120 hours. So our 5-day rainfall forecast, this is only showing up to about 1/4 of an inch across the area. So not a lot of rain associated with this. I think that's going to change by the end of the weekend. Sunday, we actually have a shot at the mid-70s again. Yesterday, we hit 80 degrees. I think you're going to see some sunshine clouds increase with a slight chance for rain by the end of the day. The record for this coming Sunday, February 9th, is actually 77 degrees. We did that back in 1994. The second warmest for that day, 73. So I think this is going to slide into at least the second warmest or even close to a record for that day. But I know Ben's going to love this fact. February 9th, this coming Sunday, is going to be a 6 p.m. sunset time. The next time we're going to have a sunset before 6 p.m. November 2nd, as Ben is slow clapping in the background. So leaving on a good note there. But then once that cold front passes, it's actually going to feel a little bit more winter-like. Should have ended with the sunset graphic. And then temperatures back down into the 40s. The good news is where our lows are settling out. I think Charlotte avoids any wintry mix, but I think north of I-40 could see that on Monday night and Tuesday night. But look at those highs. Back to the 40s, should be ending in the 50s to end next week.
We start here tonight with the nation continuing to mourn this week's tragedy out of Washington, D.C. The lives of 67 people cut short after a mid-air collision between an American Airlines flight and a military helicopter.
And tonight, a new memorial has been built, 67 crosses, now standing near the site of that deadly accident.
As the recovery efforts continue, we are also learning more about those on board the flight, 5 of whom we have confirmed have ties to the Charlotte area.
WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre is live tonight at Charlotte Douglas. Jesse, how are people honoring those lives who were cut short in this week's tragedy?
Well, the outpouring support and love overwhelming as friends, family, and even strangers come together to honor the 5 individuals' lives who have been cut short.
In a split second, a routine flight became a nightmare after an American Airlines flight collided with a helicopter over D.C. Wednesday night. A total of 67 people died in the crash, an aviation catastrophe that shook the nation.
Oh man, it's really tough. It's really sad, of course, and just hope that we can mitigate that and that doesn't happen ever again.
At least 5 of them had ties to Charlotte. As families and communities mourn, many are sharing memories and finding ways to honor them. The father of Sam Lilly, who was the first officer on the flight, shared more about his son on Facebook, calling him a young pilot with a bright future, who was doing great in his career and his personal life. Sam was engaged to be married in the fall. Jonathan Campos, a man who didn't just fly planes but inspired others to reach for the skies. Epic Flight Academy honored him on Facebook, sharing how he once served as a valued flight instructor and that the dedicated pilot had an undeniable passion for aviation. Tributes pouring in online show that flight attendant Ian Epstein made every passenger feel like family.
You just knew he was loving his job. You couldn't even tell he was working. He was just really made people very relaxed.
Flight attendant Denasia Elder, a beloved wife, leaving behind 2 children. She is remembered for her golden spirit and infectious energy. And then Wendy Jo Schaefer, who was a passenger on the flight, a devoted wife and mother of 2 little boys. Her friends describe her as the heart of her family, a woman who filled their home with love, laughter, and endless devotion.
So again, a lot of heartfelt tributes there. To learn more details about the crash and those 5 individuals, head to our website, WCNC.com. Live at Charlotte Douglas, Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
Jesse, thank you.
Meantime this morning, CMS making it clear student safety comes first regardless of their immigration status.
The district reassuring families and laying out protections for students. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane now live this morning with how officials are responding to concerns and what it means for families. Richard?
Yeah, good morning, Ben. Good morning, Kaylin. Good Tuesday morning, all. Yesterday at its regular board meeting, the CMS school board said that they wanted to assure parents so far there have been no raids from ICE officials on any of its campuses. They also say that they're doing everything they can to ensure students' protections while in class. Now, as we take a look at video, this is all because of recent amendments or statements made or bills signed by the president. CMS officials say all students will continue to receive education regardless of their immigration status. This is President Donald Trump's new policy, takes away the sanctuary status that keeps ICE agents from arresting people in the country illegally when they're at a church, school, or in the hospital. In a statement, the district reinforced key protections such as the prohibition of school staff from inquiring about immigration status during a student being enrolled and reporting undocumented students to authorities. It also highlighted that immigration officials cannot enter schools without a court order or sufficient warrant. The district says it will continue to monitor any federal changes that could affect these protections, while advocates say there is growing fear for parents and caregivers alike.
Fear is a good word for it. I would say confusion is another one. They want clarity. They want guidance on what to do just because they hear they can go into the schools, they can go to court, they can go to these areas.
And the district says it will continue to monitor any federal changes, but as of now, they reiterate the fact that there have been no raids on any of its campuses. We're in East Charlotte. This is Richard Devane. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Richard, thanks so much. Tonight, some say a flaw in the North Carolina justice system could turn deadly. Just last month, a Charlotte man was found guilty of assaulting a woman and strangling her. He was sentenced to 18 months probation. Now advocates are pushing for harsher penalties for strangulation charges. WCNC Charlotte's Julia Kaufman is joining us live from outside the county courthouse to talk about this. So, Julia, you spoke with the district attorney. What is he saying?
Well, he says, Vanessa, that strangulation is a dangerous, life-threatening crime, and it needs to be treated as such to better protect victims of domestic violence. It can be a telltale sign that a victim's life is at risk.
About once a quarter, we do a deep dive into a domestic violence-related homicide, and in about half of those cases, we do find that there was strangulation at some point.
Elise Hamilton Childress with the county's Prevention and Intervention Services says strangulation is a form of abuse that is detrimental.
Even if it doesn't result in them being killed, it can result in an irreparable bodily harm and psychological harm to the person.
But Mecklenburg County District Attorney Spencer Merriweather says the consequences in North Carolina aren't as serious as you'd think.
The problem is that the penalty for taking somebody's air away is the same as someone breaking into your outdoor shed.
That's because assault by strangulation is only a Class H felony.
That a person can try to do things that ultimately could kill you, but fall short of it, and that person could serve a period of probation.
Merriweather would like the General Assembly to increase the punishments.
When there is a demonstration of physical injury, I see no reason we don't treat this like it's a shooting.
Hamilton Childress agrees, saying it's important for domestic violence survivors to feel supported by the justice system.
When a victim does not get the outcome that they hope for, that says to them, we value your life and your safety, and we're doing everything possible to make sure you're safe going forward, that can contribute to further harm down the road.
I reached out to several Mecklenburg County lawmakers to find out whether they would support a measure like this that Meriwether is asking for. And Representative Carolyn Logan tells me she's actually already working on legislation for this and hopes to introduce it soon. We're live outside the courthouse. Julia Kaufman, WCNC Charlotte.
Julia, thank you.
Thanks for joining us here on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal.
And I'm Nick Sturdivant. In just a few moments here, you see President Donald Trump. He will sign an executive order designed to prevent people who were biologically assigned male at birth from participating in women's or girls' sporting events. Let's toss it down to the president, who's speaking as we speak.
You've been waiting a long time for this. Yeah. So have I. Actually, it was so ridiculous. But here we are. And this doesn't have to be long. It's just all about common sense. Doesn't have to be long. In a few moments, I'll sign a historic executive order to ban men from competing in women's sports. It's about time. Under the Trump administration, we will defend the proud tradition of female athletes, and we will not allow men to beat up, injure, and cheat our women and our girls. From now on, women's sports will be only for women. But before going further, I want to share some very exciting news from our military. After years of shrinking force numbers at levels that nobody has ever seen before, 4 years of this we went through, and missed recruiting targets every single month, it was just announced that in December, the U.S. Army had its single best recruitment in more than 15 years. Thanks. Every single day, nearly 350 new soldiers enlisted to defend our nation, and they're very, very happy to have done so. We've done lots of interviews, and we asked why this was taking place now, and they just said there's a spirit about our country that they haven't seen in many, many years, and I happen to agree with that. But it really is clear proof that the spirit is sweeping our armed forces, and we have a great leader in Pete. As you know, we all know Pete so well. He's going to be fantastic, and so many of our great heroes, and people are starting to understand what hero is all about. So that is something that is very important. We've gotten the woke lunacy out of our military. And now we're very importantly getting it out of women's sports. That's taking place very strongly. So in recent years, the radical left has waged an all-out campaign to erase the very concept of biological sex and replace it with a militant transgender ideology. You heard a little bit about this, haven't you, huh? Just a little bit? Does anybody agree with them? No. It would be not a good thing to say yes right here. Female athletes have been forced onto the front lines, and men claiming to be girls have stolen more than 3,500 victories, that's a lot, and invaded more than 11,000 competitions designed for women. Last year, a male cyclist posing as a woman competed in the 800-mile Arizona Trail Race, a very big deal in cycling, and obliterated the women's course record by nearly 5.5 hours. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it, huh? 5.5 hours, but you have to hear the weightlifting records. You think that's bad. The weightlifting's worse. In 2023, a man in women's powerlifting broke 2 world records and outlifted his closest female opponent in one event by 440 pounds. And they continue to defend themselves. Mr. Congressman. You know that, right? They continue to defend themselves. We hope they continue onward because I don't think we can lose a race. This was one of the big reasons that we all won, and it's one of the big reasons that we had a record, a landslide like they haven't seen before, very often anyway. And who could forget last year's Paris Olympics where a male boxer stole the women's gold medal after brutalizing his female opponent so viciously that she had to forfeit just after 46 seconds, and she was a championship fighter. And actually, they had two women or two people that transitioned, and both of them won gold medals, and they won them very convincingly. But all of that ends today because with this executive order, the war on women's sports is over. Should have been done long ago, actually. Thank you. Thank you very much. With my action this afternoon, we're putting every school receiving taxpayer dollars on notice that if you let men take over women's sports teams or invade your locker rooms, you will be investigated for violations of Title IX and risk your federal funding. There will be no federal funding. So this will effectively end the attack on female athletes at public K-12 schools and virtually all U.S. colleges and universities. I don't think we've missed anything, but if we do, we'll make it up very quickly with an order, and I don't think we will at all. I want to, before we go on, I want to thank so many people that have worked so hard in the political establishment, and they're before me largely, and I think I'm gonna miss a few. It always happens when you do this, but it's just one of those things. But we have many senators here, many governors here, many state attorneys generals here. They're all over the place, actually, I see. Some of them went after me, but they failed. And they're really friends, and they're friends of women's sports, that I can tell you. So Senator Marsha Blackburn, where's Marsha? Hi. Senator Katie Britt. Thank you, Katie. Mike Lee, where's Mike? Mike. I love his new haircut. I love that haircut, Mike. He just said the hell with it, right? I think you look great. Senator Cynthia Lummis. Cynthia, where are you? Cynthia, hi, Cynthia. Doing a good job. And Roger Marshall. Thank you, Roger. Great. Mark Wayne Mullen, Oklahoma. I love Oklahoma. I don't know what it is, Oklahoma. I won 77 out of 77 counties. It's never been done. Second was Ronald Reagan, 56, right? Yeah. And Tommy Tuberville, a great coach. You know, his quarterback was named Mahomes. He was a great college coach. And I said, how good was he? He said, you don't want to know how good. He made me into a great coach. He's pretty good quarterback, right? Yeah, he was very good. He's a good guy, too. Also, governors, we have Governor Glenn Youngkin, Virginia. Thank you, Glenn. Good job. Bill Lee of Tennessee. Bill, thank you. Jeff Landry, Louisiana. Thank you, Jeff. Kim Reynolds of Iowa. Thank you. We're trying to move, you know, education back to the states. You do know that. We're making a big move, and we're counting on Linda McMahon. Linda McMahon. And sitting next to you is the new Star is Born, Caroline, congratulations. You've done great. New star. Star is born. Patrick Morrissey. Patrick, congratulations. Great race. A great friend of mine, and he's really helped us at the border, done a great job, of Texas, Greg Abbott. Thank you, Greg. Jim Pillen, where are you? Jim, very good. Very good. Are you feeling good? He had a bad fall. You doing all right, huh? Good. You look great. Brad Little. Brad, thank you, Brad. Good job. Good job. Do you like education going back to your state? You'll make it top, right? You know, just so people understand, in the education world, we're ranked very, very poorly. We're 38, 39, and 40 out of 40 countries. We're at the bottom of the pack almost always, or very close to it. That just came out. We're 40 out of 40. And if we move it back to the states, I will guarantee you that if you take Idaho, you take Iowa, you take almost any of the states that I'm looking at right now, they'll be as good as Norway. You have Sweden, you have Denmark. I must say you have China that's very high in the pack, which is no longer, we can say it has to be a small area. China is very big, but they do a very good job. But we'll have at least 35 of our states that will be as good or better than any of those countries, and we have to get it done. Attorney General Steve Marshall. Steve, thank you very much. Steve, wherever you may be. General Tim Griffin, thank you. Thank you. A person who is so wonderful. Brenna Bird, where are you? Brenna Bird. Thank you. She supported me before people wanted to support me, right, Brenna? Wow. Thank you very much. I appreciated it. Andrew Bailey, great job. Where's Andrew? Great. Stand up, Andrew. One of the great attorney generals. Thank you very much. One of the greats, really. And Jason Miyares. Thanks, Jason. And now we get back to our members of Congress.
The president getting ready to sign a new executive order, no men in girls sports.
Yeah, you can continue to watch this news conference on the Watch Carousel on WCNC Plus. The news at 4 starts in just a few minutes.
Thing that his wife loved him. His wife loves him because I went to the hospital that night and he was not given even a Mike. And I was with him and I was with his wife and she was devastated. She was really devastated. And I've been to, similar situations, not quite as bad, but the wives were not so devastated. And I can tell you that great wife of yours loves you. So anyway, and what you've done is incredible. The way you've come back, it's you look better now than you did before it happened. But nobody wants to go through that. Yeah. It's amazing. Tom Emmer doing a fantastic job. Thank you, Tom. Great job. Lisa McLean. Lisa. Hi. Hi, Lisa. Hi. Good job. Virginia Fox. Hi, Virginia. Tim Wahlberg, Michigan. Tim, great. Jason Smith, great man on taxes. Great man on how are the taxes doing? Okay? We're going to get good things passed, I hope, right? Juan Ciscomaris, Arizona. Where are you, Juan? Hello, Juan. Stand up, Juan. You look so good. You always look good. Kevin Kiley. Kevin, wherever you may be. What happened? How come he had no applause? Lauren Boebert. Lauren Boebert. Very much a leader in this. Thank you, Lauren. Kat Kamek, Florida. Thank you, Kat. Byron Donalds. He's doing good. Byron's doing good. Where is he? You're doing good, Byron. Laurel Lee. Thank you, Laurel. Thank you. Great job. Anna Paulina Luna. Thank you. Thank you, Anna. Greg Stubbe hit a home run wearing a Trump cap. The only one to hit a home run out of the park during your crazy baseball game, right? I think I will come. I think I'll come. If you're playing, I'll come. Somebody that's very shy. This is a very shy person, and but she's trying to break out of it. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Victoria Sparts. Thank you, Victoria. Great job. Ashley Hinson. Ashley, thank you. Marionette Miller Meeks. Good job you did. Good job. Great job. Mary Miller. Hi, Mary. Julia Letlow. Hi, Julia. Claudia Tenney from New York. Claudia. Hi, Claudia. Hi. Great job. Nicole Maliatakis. Hi, Nicole. Good. Doing good. I saw a great poll with you, Nicole. Michelle Fishbach. Thank you. Great job. Ann Wagner, Missouri. Thanks. Sherry Biggs, South Carolina. Thanks, Sherry. Great job. Nancy Mace. Where's Nancy? She's something. Oh, are you a believer in what we're doing, Nancy? Nancy takes it on right from the start, right? Would you like to say something? Would you like to say we're doing the right thing? Good. Good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nancy. Stephanie Bice, Oklahoma. Thanks, Stephanie. Diana Harshbarger. Thanks, Diana. Good job. Tim Burchett. Tim, I watched you on television the other day. You were unbelievable. You ripped that guy apart. Man, that poor guy, he started getting a little fresh with Tim, and Tim just ripped him apart. That was beautiful. I actually left a message. That's good. Great job, Tim. That was great. Monica De La Cruz. Monica. Great. Ronnie Jackson. Ronnie. Dr. Ronnie. He's a doctor, a great admiral, and a great congressman, right? Pretty good. He has his choice. What do you like doing best, Ronnie? Who is the healthiest patient you ever had? You know why I liked him? The fake news asked, so doctor, he had Obama, Bush, and Trump in the White House. He was the White House doctor. And they asked him, who's the healthiest of the three? He said, it's not close. It's Donald Trump. And from that moment, I love this guy. Right? Thank you, Ronnie. Wesley Hunt from Texas. Hi, Wesley. Beth Van Dyne. Beth from Texas. Thanks, Beth. Burgess Owens, a great athlete, an NFL star. Ken Kiggins from Virginia. Thank you. Thank you, honey. Thank you very much, Jen. I appreciate it. Harriet Hageman, what a lawyer. Ooh. One of the best, one of the most talented lawyers you'll ever see. What she did to her opponent was horrible. Let's see, who was her opponent? Let's see. Oh, does anybody remember her opponent? We tend to forget. We forgot that one, huh? And, you know, your speaker, I'm going to introduce him later anyway, but your speaker has been fantastic. Stand up, Mike. He's great. What a good man. a really good man. Also, some friends of ours, Sage Steele, has been very strong on the issue. Sage, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Great job. Tiffany Justice, Tina Deskovich, founders of Moms for Liberty, and they honored me, and it was a great honor. And thank you very much, both of you. Thank you. Heather Higgins, Andy Botner, Victoria Coley from Independent Women's Forum. It's a fantastic group of people that fought very hard on this issue. I think everybody in this room really fought very hard on this issue. Kim Fletcher, we know Kim. Debbie, I think Debbie's here. Crew Lidis from also Moms of America. And Penny Lance, of course, CEO of the Concerned Women for America. That is a lot of people. Thank you very much, Penny. Good job you do. That's a lot of people. Can I give here, what don't you hold that? You sell it tonight. So just to finish up, I'm directing the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who, by the way, is doing a fantastic job. In fact, he just left Panama. We're trying to take back the Panama Canal, little things like that. It'll all happen. But Marco is going to make clear to the International Olympic Committees there, and he's going to make it as clear as anybody can make it, that America categorically rejects transgender lunacy. We want them to change everything having to do with the Olympics and having to do with this absolutely ridiculous subject that we even have to talk about this subject. If you went back 10 years or 15 years and you would move forward and listen to this, you'd say, what the hell are they talking about? This is impossible. But you have people out there, Democrats, that are still totally in favor. They can't win the argument. They can't win a debate. They look like fools, and they continue to go on. And it's okay, because as long as they do this and open borders and all of the other things they talk about, transgender, everything, all they want to do is transgender and men playing in women's sports and all of these crazy things. And if they continue, I think we're going to end up ultimately, it's not going to matter because we're never going to go along with them, and we're just going to keep winning elections, right, Mike? So when the Olympics comes to Los Angeles, I was responsible for getting the Olympics, and I said, oh boy, this is terrible because I got the Olympics and I won't be president. And then what happened is that an election, strange things happened in an election. So I missed 4 years, and now I have the Olympics. It was sort of circuitous. It was a circuitous situation. And we also have the World Cup coming, which is going to be fantastic. And we have, as you know, very importantly, 250 years coming. That's a big one next year, so that's a very big one. But in Los Angeles in 2028, my administration will not stand by and watch men beat and batter female athletes, and we're just not going to let it happen, and it's going to end, and it's ending right now, and nobody's going to be able to do a damn thing about it, because when I speak, we speak with authority. And for the same reason, just to make sure, I'm also directing our Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, who's also doing she's out there with you, Greg, a fantastic job. She's unbelievable. I was watching her riding yesterday on a horse. She was as good as anybody. She's very good. To deny any and all visa applications made by men attempting to fraudulently enter the United States while identifying themselves as women athletes to try and get into the games where they are unable to get into the games. We're honored to be joined today by many incredible advocates for women's sports, including the brave swimmer at the forefront of this battle. And Riley Gaines is a person that I've been watching. She fought hard. Riley was a 12-time All-American. Well, that's pretty good. 12-time All-American who sacrificed countless hours in the pool just for a chance at the title is so important to her. She gave up everything and just gave everything she had. But then the league forced her to share a spot on the podium with a male swimmer who took her trophy while the media celebrated this stolen glory. And Riley is just a tremendous athlete, and it was a very unfair situation. I watched it. A lot of people watched it. It was ridiculous, frankly. But I want to thank Riley. She really has been in the forefront. People that aren't that well versed in this would say that she was the leader. And great job, Riley. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And also with us is another great champion for women, Peyton McNabb. In high school, Peyton was a rock star athlete. Where is Peyton? Where is Peyton? I like Peyton. Nice to see you. Good job. Good job. Looks like a good athlete to me. In high school, Peyton was a rock star athlete preparing for a future in college sports, but in one volleyball match, a much taller and stronger male spiked the ball right in her face, knocking her unconscious, partially paralyzing her right side and leaving her with a traumatic brain injury. And Peyton said it was 100% avoidable if only my rights as a female athlete had been more important than a man's feelings, and we can't let it happen, and it's not going to happen. Not going to happen anymore, Peyton. It's not going to happen. Are you okay? Are you good? I'm doing a lot better. Good. That's good. Thank you. We're also pleased to be joined by many incredible leaders on this issue. And as I mentioned before, Speaker Mike Johnson, and he has been so strong on this issue because he's a man of common sense. I mean, it really is. It's common sense more than anything else. So, Mike, thank you. Great job. Great job in everything. He's got the easiest job of any politician in history. He's got the nicest, like 220. It sort of varies between, depends on how many people I take from my administration. It goes up and down a little bit, but I promised I won't take any more. I just wanted to see how good he was. I was testing you. And we have some great people, but he's filling them up rapidly. He had some big wins the other day, very big wins the other day. But you've done a fantastic job. Thank you very much, Mike. We appreciate it. We all appreciate it. And also the dozens of members of the House and Senate and governors that attorney generals, so many people, and the people outside that can't even get in. This room is packed. And, I offered to build a ballroom. I'm very good at building ballrooms. I build beautiful ballrooms. And I actually offered to build a ballroom for the White House. I was going to build it right there. This was going to be the reception room. And then I was going to build a beautiful, beautiful ballroom like I have at Mar-a-Lago, as beautiful as it can be. It was going to cost about $100 million. I offered to do it, and I never heard back. I offered to do it to the Biden administration, very active administration. And they didn't hear back. And I said again and again, 3-4 times, I said to top people, and they just didn't know what to do. They sort of said, this is good, but they had no idea. So I'm going to try and make the offer to myself, because we could use a bigger room, right, Marshall? We could use a bigger room. President, would you like to build? Yeah, I would. We could use at the White House. It would actually be a beautiful addition. It's going to cost nothing. I'll spend the whole thing myself. We'll do a big, beautiful room, but we could use it at the White House. You know what they do when they have a big ceremony? They put up a tent. And somehow I think we've outgrown the tent stuff, right? Don't you think? So we'll see if they can, we'll see if Trump will approve it. But the actions we're taking today are the latest in a sweeping effort to reclaim our culture and our laws from the radical left crusade against biological reality. On day one, I made it official, and I'm making it official policy of the United States government that there is, two genders. We have two genders. What might they be? Man and woman, right? Male and female. Male and female. Can't think of too many others, but it's pretty amazing. I rescinded federal funds and this is so important, to any program that promotes transgender ideology using taxpayer dollars. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. And last week, I effectively banned the chemical castration and surgical mutilation of minor children. Can you believe I even have to say that? I banned governor, I banned, it's just like, who would ever think we have to even say that? Last week I banned. Every day we're ending the extremism of the last 4 years. We have other things that are just as ridiculous, not having to do with the subject, but just as ridiculous. Open borders where people are allowed to pour in from all over the world, from jails and prisons and mental institutions and insane asylums, people that are very sick, people that are very evil, killers, murderers. Many of them murdered more than one person. And we have to justify the fact that we're moving them out. We are moving them out in tremendous numbers. Tom Homan and Christie are doing a fantastic job, and the governor and other governors too. But that we have to even fight for this stuff is just incredible. And the media doesn't want to talk about it because it's nothing they can talk about. It's just they just don't want to really talk very much about it. Serious problem, but we're doing a great job, and the people understand, and that's why we won in a landslide. You know, they made it easy, and at some point, you know, we have to hope they do come around because we can never let this happen again. What's happened to our country, we can never let this happen again. So we are restoring sanity and common sense, very simply, to our government. We're defending the rights and safety and pride of the American people, including our great, great, great female athletes. What athletes you are, too. Tell you. And, you know, I'm not allowed to say this politically. It could end my career. They're really beautiful people. These are beautiful people. But you know, like everything else, it's a little bit different today. You're not allowed to say that because if you call a woman or a girl beautiful, that's the end of your career. But let's take a chance on it, Mike. Let's take a chance. So I want to thank everybody for being here. It's fantastic. And this is sort of a big, big day. It shouldn't have even been necessary to take place. This started a long time ago, and we ended it today. And I'm going to sign the executive order right now, and everything I said will go into effect immediately, okay? Thank you. Down in front. Thank you. Thank you so much. Everybody, thank you. You know, if you'd like to gather around me, I think I'm going to be okay. Come on. Come on. Secret Service is worried about them. If we have to worry about them, we have big problems. Okay, do you want to do this? Watch what I do, and then I'm going to give you some pens, okay? You ready? What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that. I want to make this a really good signature because this is, you know, this is a big one, right? Oh, I think we have a 10. We have a 10.
God bless you, Mr. President.
Pretty good, huh, sweetheart? Okay? Good. Now you're going to go out and win those events, right? Nice to see you all. Nice to see you. Great going, everybody. Nice to see you. Thank you, kids. Here, take a pen. I'll give some of these out, okay? Take a pen, take a pen.
Thank you so much.
Where's Riley?
All in favor?